Hello, I'm Marianne Pearson, Dr. Marianne Pearson. I've been at CBU as a full-time professor for this beginning of my 7th year. Before that, I was an adjunct, and um, I'm looking forward to teaching you in the organizational communication class, COM 425, for these 8 weeks ahead of us. I'm going to first show you our book. This is our text, and it's listed in the syllabus, so you can go ahead and take a look and become familiar with it. I know several of you have mentioned that you already purchased the book, so that is the text that we'll be using. I think this class is really exciting because you learn the dynamics that take place in an organization with communication. The organization could be a church, a workplace, a family, a club, any organization. There are certain rules that are sort of unspoken that take place, and when you learn the theories behind the communication, it really helps you to function well and to communicate effectively. So it's an interesting class that can help people who are in diverse lines of work or disciplines. It's really helpful to understand what goes on. I've had students say, I've taught this numerous times. In fact, I was the one who converted this to an online course for OPS last summer, so I've taught it numerous times. But I've had students say, wow, I know that theory. When they read one of the theorists who have kind of given a description of a communication principle, they'll say, I've seen that happen at work, or I understand how that is, but I never knew it had a name. And the difference is you start to understand people who did the research and wrote the theories out and coined the phrase, and that kind of then you realize that yes, this type of communication takes place. And I've seen these problems or situations arise with communication, and now I understand a little bit about why they take place. So that's the kind of realization I hope will come to you as you take this class. It's a very helpful class. It is all online, asynchronous, which means you don't have to be on the computer at the same time. The classes run from Sunday to Sunday midnight. So in other words, early Monday morning is the beginning of class. It goes until Sunday midnight. So all work is due by Sunday midnight every week. I understand that many of you will have different times that you're free to go on the computer. So it's not expected that you're on at the same time. It's definitely a situation where you can look at your week and plan, this is the time I have to work on my online class this week, and you can set it up that way. You will see some suggested dates, like day 1, 2, 3, that things might be due. That's a pacing guide, but it's not required as long as all the work is done by Sunday midnight. I would suggest, though, that I think the best way to do it is to Monday go on and take a look at what you're looking at for the week by going to the week 1 folder or week 2 folder. Then decide how you're going to pace out your work for that week. It's really important to try to do all the work within the week, though, because the principles you learn in week 1 are needed for week 2. So each level builds on principles that you've learned the prior week. So it is important to try to do that. If you do have an emergency, though, I will work with you. Send me an email. Let me know what's going on, and we'll get you an extra day or so to complete the week's work. But you don't want to get too far behind, because then your learning will be kind of backed up and you won't have those principles in place to build a foundation. For this week, what you're doing is reading chapters 1 and 2. You have a couple of discussion boards and a brief writing assignment. Please take a look at it, and if you have any questions, send me an email. The work is done is collaborative. It's not like an intense lecture from me like you might have if we were sitting in a class at CBU in an on-ground class. It's not really like that. I guide you and coach you through it, and through you reading the material, reading the PowerPoints, going through the exercises, hearing me clarify things, then the concepts and the learning outcomes take place. So you do learn the material the same as you would in an on-ground class. The modality and how you learn it's a little bit different because you're working through the material yourself. You're interacting with your course mates. You're asking me questions, or I'm responding to. If I get a couple of questions about something, I know, oh, wait, this isn't clear. And so I'll either send out an announcement email or post a clarification into the Blackboard folder, or do a YouTube so I can explain it more clearly. But I think you'll really enjoy what you learn here, and I think you'll find it useful and helpful in your work and in your life in general. Communications is the kind of discipline that, as I said, when you learn things that are in this text, you're going to think, oh, I knew that. I've seen that. That's what I always thought. But now you'll know the theory and the background that goes behind it. And that will help you to create better communication in the organizations that you work through. A little bit about me. I am the faculty advisor for the student publications at CBU and work with traditional students. I've worked with OPS since last summer. Before that, I worked with COPS and just online and evening college. I really like working with the adult learners because I was one. I went back to school after a career in public relations and journalism. I went back to school to be an elementary teacher and then went on to teach at the university. So I love teaching. And I like to pray for my students. If you have a prayer request, let me know. I'll post a discussion board for prayers, but also you can send me an email. I'm happy to pray for you. I pray that you have a blessed 8-week term with me, and if I can be of help, let me know. God bless and have a good 4th of July.